I'm a professor at Penn State, and I teach public speaking primarily for a quarter of a century. I had the honor of teaching the introductory public speaking class. So if you have attended Penn State, graduated from Penn State, I always like to say thank you, because you're the reason I have a good job, and it has been a lot of fun. And I was doing that for about a decade when I decided to go back and earn a PhD. And when I needed a dissertation topic, I happened to be watching the 1996 GOP convention on television, and I saw Elizabeth Dole descend the steps at the convention. Some of you who are closer to my age, 50, will recognize will remember that speech, because it was very unique. Here she was, a woman who held a number of cabinet positions, but she was presenting herself purely as the spouse of the candidate. And after doing a little research on Mrs. Dole, I realized that she could have been president herself. And so that's what started research into women who run for president, or women who by their resume could be president. And so I wrote my dissertation on Elizabeth Dole and subsequently continued the research and wrote this book back in 2006 on 5 women who ran for president. What the research shows is that many people, not only adults, but young people, really don't know about women who ran for president. So two studies were done. One of them was a poll that I conducted back in 2009 after Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin were 2 very visible national women seeking the highest level of political office in our country, vice president and president. And it happened because a young woman, very much like Abby, came to my office and said, you know, I just don't think a woman's going to be president in my lifetime. And I got pretty depressed about that, because I thought, if you don't think a woman's going to be president in our lifetime, then you're probably right, because you're the one who's going to become president. We have to rely on young women like Abby Kennedy, a Schreyer scholar, excellent student, great thinker, to make that leap. So I conducted a poll, and I asked students at Penn State, women, Abby's age, I said, did the bids of Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin make you think that a woman would be president in your lifetime? And the results were very encouraging, because most of the young women polled said yes, actually seeing a woman run encourages me. And so I thought, well, then it goes back to other research that's been done. A researcher by the name of Witt and her collaborator Paget wrote a book called Running as a Woman, and their conclusion was that the only way that we're going to have women running for the highest political office, the presidency of the United States, is if more and more women are in the pipeline, which usually means a governorship, because that's another executive style of politics, like the presidency. But it doesn't really get to the real problem. The real problem is girls the age of Alicia, who just came and bought a book and went home to Belfont. She's 10 or 11. Right about that age, girls start to think that they can't be anything they want to be. And so more recent research, and I brought it with me today, I put it out front by the food, comes from American University, and the chief investigator is Jennifer Lawless. And I'll make sure she gets a copy of this book. I'm going to mail it to her. Because she and her collaborators did some research and asked younger women. They asked younger women, younger girls actually, women 10, 11, 12, 13, whether or not they think that they could be president. And they identified, after their research and after their polling, I interviewed more than 1,000 women, younger women, girls, and they identified 5 factors that contribute to the gender gap. 1, young men are more likely than young women to be socialized by their parents to think about politics as a career path. 2, from their school experiences to their peer associations to their media habits, young women tend to be exposed to less political information and discussion than do young men. 3, young men are more likely than young women to have played organized sports and care about winning. 4, Young women are less likely than young men to receive encouragement to run for office from anyone. And 5, young women are less likely than young men to think that they will be qualified to run for office even once they're established in their careers. So having a book that's geared to girls that shows them that other women tried to be president is valuable.